So in this video, I'm going to lay out for you the why and the ways to become a global citizen. So I've lived in 4 different countries for a total of 9 years and have visited about 6 in total. That means I spend time learning at least the basics of a lot of languages, and at the same time as working as an English teacher for a lot of online English companies, I've interacted with people from over 10 countries on a regular basis. Since I was a kid, I always knew that I wanted to live abroad and that I wanted to learn multiple languages. I always wanted to meet people from different countries and be in a place where the culture was very different from mine. So I could say mission accomplished on that one, but there's still a lot that I want to do. What I didn't realize at the time was there was a lot of value in becoming an international citizen, and there's a lot of benefits to it. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, 5 ways to go international, whether you travel abroad or not. So this will be media sources, money, food choices, friend choices, and passport. So with the first one, with media choices, I really see that in the United States, we really have our own source of media, which I think all countries do, but we're very inwardly focused. It's very little about what's happening in another country unless it's a really major war or a really major cataclysmic event. And I really think this is a mistake because it just really closes your mind to what's going on with other people and with other countries. So I really think the benefit of this is that you can see how other people live. You can sort of zoom out of your own problems in your own lens, look at the bigger picture, and it really forces you to have compassion on other people and to realize, maybe your problems or the things in your country aren't so big and aren't so bad. And I really think you can be better informed about the things going on in your own country because you see it from a view of how other people are viewing it, not just the narrative that you have going on within your own media sources. I usually watch France 24, not because I think it's better than anything, but I really like that you can see the news from a lot of different countries. That was just the first one that I found when I was living abroad. And I also watch Al Jazeera live because they really show a non-Western view of the world, and so it's a really great perspective of my own country from the opposite side. And it doesn't mean when you find another news media source that they're the end-all be-all, that they're doing it all perfect. Every news is propaganda, so you're just getting another view of things, and it doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that's said. You're just getting another view of things. The second way to go international is with your money. So you can do this in a few ways. The first one I would say is tax residency. So if you're an American citizen like me, you know that no matter where you go in the world, you have to pay your taxes. The exception to this is that you cannot be double taxed. So for example, you can register yourself as a company in a place like Armenia or a place like Georgia and other places. And what you would do is you would pay them your taxes that you would get for the year, whatever their tax rate was, and it would definitely be a lower rate than in the United States. And because you paid them your taxes, you would not have to pay taxes in the United States. So you get to keep more of the money in your pocket. And this is also, in some countries, a way to get residency or permanent residency. More on that in another video. Another way is with international investing. So I don't know if you've ever read the book Adventure Capitalist. I have it on my shelf. I just discovered it. It's about 20 years old now, but it's essentially an investor. He goes around the world to different countries and says what he invested in and what he wouldn't invest in a different country. And so this can be something like, you want to invest in real estate. Well, do it in Nigeria, where in the capital Lagos, real estate is booming. Or do it in another country which has, a major export, or just see where things are, or do some research about things that you're interested in other countries and markets that are growing and places that are expanding or have, really young populations. Just watch for trends in your natural interest in other countries and put your money into it. The third way to go international would be in food choices. So I think in the United States it's really common to eat a lot of food from different countries, but I'd really encourage you to definitely take advantage of making dishes at home that are from another country or another culture. Usually if you just, type in a country's food, you'll get like some of the more common things. So it's a little bit harder to find really specialized food or something that people in the local country might eat. But I think this is really great because you get to try different flavors, and not only that, but it's so you can do it specific to diet. So when I became allergic to gluten, I realized that in Asian countries they don't really use wheat for so many things, so it's just easier to avoid, and there's a lot of tasty dishes that you can try then. Or if you're a vegetarian, there's so many countries that just have naturally vegetarian recipes. I think it's good for that reason. I also think that this would encompass going to legit ethnic restaurants, not just the American versions. So I know in my town there's a really good Thai restaurant down the street that's always popular, and a really legit Ethiopian restaurant, and across town there's an Azeri restaurant, which I've never been to any of them, so that's on my list to do. But you really get the actual people making the food the way that they would eat it at home. And so I think this is another way that you can branch out and become international. Way number 4 would be with friend choices. So there's a lot of communities of different, ethnic groups and cultures in your city, and you probably know which immigrant groups are largest. And I would really encourage you to look up just their local community meetings, because a lot of them are open to their public as well as their events, and you can go and interact with people and just get to know them. And I think this is not only a great way just to get to know people for your own sake, or to speak with other people from another culture because you're interested in it, but also because so many cultures outside of America are really hospitable. And a lot of people come here and say, I've lived in America 10 years and I've never been inside an American home. And that's like scary. When I lived abroad, I'd be at the grocery store and someone would say, oh, you have to come to my home. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so I think that's something that we can really do better in the United States. Definitely me, I know that I'm not hospitable at all, but really just being open to other people and letting them know that, they're welcome here, and that you want to spend time with them, and that you want to learn from them, and just really form those friendships, which they're so used to in their own country. And the last one is passport. So this will actually involve travel. So definitely get out and see other countries. It costs money. You can't do it every year. If you're watching a lot of people on Instagram, that's not the norm. So go once every 5 years. Go plan a trip abroad once every 10 years. But if you live 60 years, you've gone abroad about 6 times. So I think that's really something you should plan on doing. You don't have to go and live in a resort. You can go and get an Airbnb and just do a local tour and stay a few days, and get the tickets in the off season so you're not paying so much. But definitely get out and visit another country. It's also getting another residency. So I think as well, we have like sort of one language in the US. It's not so common for Americans to speak more than one language. Also so common for us to have only one citizenship. And I think it's a mistake. I really think you shouldn't put all your citizenship eggs in one basket. There's so many places, citizenship or residency very easily. And so definitely do your research. You can get it by ancestry, you can get it by financial means, or you can get it by something like starting a business, which I think is the easiest way if you're not someone with a lot of money. But this way, a lot of times anything breaks out, you never know what will happen, but you always just have that second option, which I think is good. So these are just a few ways you can diversify your world, gain a more rounded view on things, and not put all your financial and citizenry eggs in one basket. If you like this video, consider subscribing to my really cool story-based email newsletter, which just shows stories of people who found their opportunity and found success in finding their opportunity. Thanks so much for watching.